Good evening. This is a FEMA Environmental Historic Preservation meeting where we will be discussing the environmental assessment that was completed for the Stanley White Recreation Center. This evening we will have a presentation where we will go over the public assistance process as well as the environmental process that calls us to be here tonight. So we will have comment cards. So at the end of our discussion or presentation, we will have comment cards on the 3 tables in the back, and you will be able to place your comments on those cards and give it to us at the end of the night. We have Christine in the corner right there. Wave your hand, Christine. She is the person that you would give your comment cards to in the end. Do we have any questions before we begin? Okay, so we have Davika Singh with our FEMA Public Assistance Officer here. She's the deputy for that division. And we also have Chelsea Klein here, and she's our lead environmental advisor here for North Carolina for this disaster, which was disaster number 4393. All right, so here's Davika for her presentation.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm just going to go over a few slides. I'm not going to read them, so I'm thinking all of you could read them, but I'll go over some points. On the FEMA side for 4393 since 2018, FEMA has awarded $756,014,315. We've helped North Carolina communities clear debris, address emergency protective measures, repair and replace roads, schools, libraries, and other eligible public facilities. For 4393, the presidential declaration, which was expedited, was on September 13, 2018. The North Carolina Department of Public Safety, Division of Emergency Management, and is the recipient for FEMA public assistance. The City of New Bern, Craven County, is the subrecipient for the PA funding program. The Stanley White Recreation Center Advisory Committee is the City of New Bern's customer. The existing facility, which is the Stanley White facility, was deemed substantially damaged by the local floodplain administrator. North Carolina Emergency Management, the City of New Bern, and FEMA have worked diligently to ensure compliance with regulatory requirements as conditions for the federal funding. And just to give you a quick timeline on the FEMA side of how this project, this PW, was done, the exploratory call was taken place on November 8th, 2018. The recovery scoping meeting with the applicant took place on November 29th, 2018, and the first site inspection was on March 23rd, 2019. The first version of this project was cleared on the EHP queue, which is the Environmental Historic Preservation queue, on March 4th, 2020, and the second version of the project entered the environmental queue on March 5th, 2021.
You guys hear me? Be a little hard to hold it and move the slides. So this is, pardon? So this, the schematic on the slide is showing you the concept plan for the new relocation of the Stanley White Center. You can see the old location up there at the top of the slide in the blue and the proposed location there at the bottom. So the reason why we're here tonight is because of the environmental historic preservation process that was triggered by the review of the relocation. This applies to any federal project. It's triggered by the spending of federal dollars. Just $1 triggers the review of all of the environmental laws and executive orders. We are here to make sure that the agency is compliant with those laws and executive orders. The purpose of this review was also to identify any issues and avoid any impacts, and that this process must be completed before the permanent work or the new construction begins on the new center. So The umbrella law, the purpose of all of this, and the trigger for all of this was under the National Environmental Policy Act, which provides the project framework and determines the level of review for the necessary projects. And it provides information, such as this public meeting, on all public federal actions, and it applies to every single project that FEMA does. There are 4 levels of review under NEPA. One is statutory exclusions, which are limited to activities that return projects to pre-disaster condition, meaning putting it back just like it was. Categorical exclusions are also have been determined that are not individually or cumulatively have a significant impact on the environment. So for instance, if we had a roof that had asphalt shingles and the applicant wanted metal shingles, we could categorically exclude that project. And then the reason why we're here tonight is an environmental assessment, meaning that project doesn't fit into either of those 2 categories. It doesn't meet a StatX, it doesn't meet a CADX. And so we have to go through that environmental assessment process. And the 4th level of review is the environmental impact statement, meaning we're going to have a significant impact on the environment. So since neither a CADX or a StatX or a CADX applied to this project, we began the environmental assessment scoping process. The city hired a consulting agency, and we have worked with them to identify what the potential causes or significant environmental impacts would be to the community. There were public meetings where the community, you guys were allowed to provide input onto what you wanted to see in the new buildings, what type of activities and amenities were offered. And we have determined whether or not, let me start over. There are 2 possible outcomes of the EA, either a finding of no significant impact, meaning there's not an environmental impact statement required and the review is concluded, or we would have a notice of intent to prepare an EIS. For the purposes of this review tonight and this public meeting, FEMA has determined that there was a finding of no significant impact with the relocation of this big building. So some of the laws that we go through under the environmental assessment process one of them is the National Historic Preservation Act. This is also triggered for any properties older 50 years old, and this law ensures that we don't have any impacts to historic buildings, districts, archaeological sites, or structures. This project triggered consultation with the State Historic Preservation Office and state and local tribes that had ancestral ties to North Carolina. They can trigger a modification of the project. For the purposes of this project, we consulted with the State Historic Preservation Office in April of this year, and they received concurrence with our determination. The former Stanley White Recreation Center was built in 1975 and was not considered eligible for listing on the National Register of Historic Places because it was under 50 years of age. There are 3 existing properties on the parcel that are going to be demolished at those addresses there, and they were also determined not eligible for listing on the National Register of Historic Places. They lacked both historical and architectural significance. We also determined that there were no archaeological sites and no potential historic districts in the area. One of the other laws we had looked at under this environmental assessment was the Endangered Species Act, and by law, all federal agencies must look at impacts to both endangered and threatened species and their critical habitat. We determined that there was no critical habitat or threatened endangered species listed in the project area. We also coordinated with the Army Corps of Engineers. There are no what is considered waters of the U.S. on the parcel. However, at the state level, there is a National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permit needed for the ground disturbing activities that helps regulate runoff. Then we had the executive orders on floodplain management and wetland management. There are no wetlands on the proposed site, and as you can see on the map, the top box is where the former location of the Stanley White Recreation Center is, which is located in an AE floodplain. And then you can see the proposed location at the bottom of the screen there, which is located outside of both the 100 and the 500-year floodplain. So here we are at the public comment period, which started July 16th of this year and will go through August 15th. You are able to mail, email, or submit your public comments on the public comment cards. The mailing address is there on the screen. The email address is there on the screen. There are also physical copies of the environmental assessment in the back that also have that. And the full document is also available online at that website, or there are a couple of copies of the environmental assessment at the back of the table.
All right, so we're at the portion of our presentation where you guys can meet with the first table at the back would be for us, the Environmental Historic Preservation Specialist. We will be back there to answer any of your questions. The table in the middle will be the Public Assistance table, and that would be Devika Singh, and she's there to answer any of your public assistance questions. And we have the state here with us tonight as well, supporting this FEMA meeting, so they are at the third table to answer any questions you may have. And at each table will have those comment cards where we can get your name and your address and phone number if you wish to provide your phone numbers. And you can add those comments to us because we have to take those comments that you provide to us as a record so we can include those into our environmental assessment. It's included as a public coordination piece for our environmental assessment. So at this time, we're going to shift it and we're going to move to the back of the room so we can start our public comment period. And you guys are still welcome to take a picture or take the information down on the slide. We're going to leave this slide up throughout the rest of the night so you guys can have a chance to look at that. We also have easels at the back as well that shows the proposed project and the conceptual plan for it. And on that table, we also have the floor plan where you can see inside the building and see what it would look like as well. Any questions before we switch everything over to the back of the room?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to make sure that I'm clear, that it's clear. Are we talking about that is going to be, that Stanley White going to be relocated?
Yes, ma'am. That's the proposed project tonight that was presented to FEMA.
So we won't have any say so, or where if we want it, we don't want it relocated, or is it a done deal?
So from my understanding, the public meetings prior to them submitting the application to us for the relocation, I think you guys had public meetings for that, correct? Last fall.
Yes, I know we had. I know we had public meetings, but during the public meetings, it was people out here saying that they didn't want it to be relocated. So was the decision already made when we had the public meetings? Because that's the way it seemed to me.
So no, the slide with the timeline that Devika provided showed when we received that project, and that was in March of 2020. 2021, I'm sorry, 2021. You want me to go back to it?
Well, no, because it's just a misunderstanding to me, because I thought the purpose of this meeting right here was you all still was deciding where to move it or not.
No, ma'am. So the project was already submitted to us, and that's the version 1, right? The version 1 was submitted to us in March of 2022. And then the second version, which included the relocation, was submitted to us and entered our queue, which is Environmental Historic Preservation queue, in March of 2021.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
all right, so my name is Victor Taylor. So as Ms. Sampson was asking, the decision has already been made that the center will be moved. Is that what I'm hearing?
So when we were presented the project from our applicant, which is the city of New Bern, it was for a relocation.
So my question again, still the same. So basically, the proposal, the moving of the center is already done. So what are we here tonight, to see what's it's gonna look like, or do we have any say so? Because as you see, there's a lot of people against it moving.
Well,
So
the
we've
purpose of,
been having the meetings, yes, I agree with that. But why are we here tonight, to see what it's gonna look like inside? Or
No.
are we still gonna have an open forum to say what we still feel?
so as a part of the National Environmental Policy Act, we have to involve the public in our environmental assessments.
I got that.
So that's why we're here tonight, to let the public know what we're doing in their community. And that's the
Doing
relocation.
or basically done.
Oh, it's not done until the environmental assessment is completed.
So we still got opportunity to halt the movement of the Stanley White.
So FEMA was presented with the project to relocate Stanley White.
FEMA, some of you all already heard me about FEMA. We had a FEMA guy come here the last time I was here, and he said he had never been on the property, but he represented the city for 2 years already prior to that. So I'm not too happy
So
with
we
FEMA.
don't represent the city. So the city is our applicant. Let me go back to that slide. So our recipient of any funding is the state, and that's the Emergency Management Agency. So the city of New Bern present their projects, whatever they would like to do, because FEMA don't decide what is done in communities. So the city of New Bern presented the project to the state, which approved it
That
and sent it
advisory
to
board for the city.
I'm sorry?
The advisory board for the city. Stanley White Advisory Board.
Yes.
Okay.
Who's the actual? Oh, it's the city of New Bern. It's the actual applicant.
Yeah.
They just went against what the community wanted.
That's, bingo.
When you showed the first picture, you said that was what was presented to you first. And then you stated later that the information was there to move the project. So when you got that first request, was there indication that it was to be moved at that time?
Yeah.
Okay, so to answer your question, no. On the first version of the project, that was going to be to repair and elevate in its current location.
Right.
And then the city of New Bern made a business decision to go into an alternate pilot program, the 428 fixed cost program. They made that decision and we processed the project accordingly. So we have obligated $629,986.75 that's already been obligated to the city of New Bern. So that the second version is when they did the proposal to relocate it to the new location.
Now I have one other question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have the option to make a difference, or if we do not accept the project as this last proposal is put before us, do we lose that project, or do we have the option to go back and negotiate?
The project's already been funded. It was the city of New Bern's decision.
So there's no-
Yes, it was the city's decision to relocate. It's already been obligated. So there's a comment, public comment.
Excuse me.
Carl,
May I say
Beth?
something,
Yes, ma'am.
please? I'm Alderman Barbara Best, and I'm with the city of New Bern. All right. Now, let me make it clear, so I have an understanding, and the public here has an understanding, that yes, you are giving us your environmental assessment tonight of the new proposed location, correct? All right. Now, just because you're giving us this environmental assessment tonight does not mean that it is a done deal that the Stanley White Rec Center will be built at this new location, because its bottom line is based on the decision by the City of New Bern Board of Aldermen. Am I correct? The City of New Bern Board of Aldermen has the last word in whether or not this Stanley White will be built in the new location or where it was originally built.
I don't know any of the city
Okay.
business. I just know that as an environmental specialist, that this is a part of our checklist in order to obligate your project and send it back to public assistance.
And that is what they're doing here tonight.
Yes.
It
So
is
if
the
you guys
bottom
know anything historic in the area or any environmental issues in the area that you would like to share with us, we can put all of those comments or incorporate that into our assessment. So that's the purpose of this.
Right, exactly, and it's not the bottom line here. It is based on the decision. Just because FEMA is giving you this assessment tonight, doesn't mean when it comes before the Board of Aldermen that the Board of Aldermen will say, yes, we're gonna build it at the new location. Okay, it has to be 4 votes from the Board of Aldermen before that building can be built in the new location, okay? So I would advise all of you, you need to talk to your alderman, you need to talk to your mayor, you need to stand flat-footed, you need to get in their face, you need to stand flat-footed, and you need to voice your concerns and your opinions of what you want in your community. You voted those people in, you voted the mayor in, you voted the board of aldermen in, so you need to talk to them, because at the bottom line, it's gonna require 4 votes.
Okay, I see you.
My name is Billy Moore. I'm here from a personal reason. Stanley was my biological father. I was with him from a kid. The family has made their recommendation. I'm here to represent Pamela Holloway and Cleo White as well. The location is fine, I'll say that. Because we are here, those who want it there, it really doesn't matter, because we're just a small number that represent the city of New Bern and our community. We got Trimble community, Trent Court, Craven Terrace, Duffield, the avenues. This has to be looked at from an inclusive point of view and quit being selfish. Follow the science as well. It makes no sense to build back on the same footprint. Why go back to Egypt? We're going 1 football field away, okay? What we should be concerned about is how it's gonna be programmed. Is it gonna meet the needs of the community? Okay, so that should be our concern. Is there a visionary that's gonna be in the office there making the decision to bring the needs of the community together, all the needs of the community, not just one particular need? So come on, think big and think better.
So, what I want to
Talk to her, don't talk to me.
Oh, but you just want to put it out there. Talk to me.
I said I wasn't gonna say that
Wait,
out
he's
here.
had his hand up in the back for a minute.
Yeah, I'll offer some facts. I want to say a couple of things. One, traditionally New Bern and the black community has gotten the short end of the stick, okay? But this right here starts from the foundation of our leadership. Back in 2018, our leadership from the Ward 2 went on Facebook and went crazy before we even had any of the facts and caused an uproar over this, okay? Facts. There was a meeting on April 12th, okay, where your aldermen were in it. One who just spoke, the other one who is the alderman of that ward. There was another meeting on April 22nd, okay, where the city of New Bern gave a proposal to this group who identified themselves as the community leaders. There are people that said they were representatives of NAACP and the Duffield community at large. They gave these people a proposal and said, hey, what do you guys think about this? The proposal I'm sure you guys have. Some of the committee members were uneasy about it. Some of them said, hey, you got to take this to the community. On April 28th, the alderman of the ward went to the city of New Bern and made a proposal and said, let's buy this property. Not only did that person make the motion to do it, all 7 of them voted to do it, okay? So what we're dealing with is a whole bunch of nonsense, and it's a leadership issue. Yeah. This is about leadership is wrong, and this is a business decision for the city. I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent. What I'm saying is the leadership is wrong, and the leadership is misleading people. The same people that are saying one thing, some of the people that are here, I got the facts, and if you want to come see me, come see me. I got the Zoom meetings, I got the people that were involved in the Zoom meetings, and more importantly, after the April 28th meeting, there was another meeting on March, and this is all public record, by the way. All you got to do is go do the research. On March the 20, the first one was April 28th. The second one was on March the 26th. The alderman of that ward then put together a subcommittee to say, hey, let's start talking about this move. It wasn't about no plan B. So all that mess, I'm not no politician, I'm a businessman, I'm about the community at large. I ain't got no political factor in this at all. Our leadership is messed up, okay? People need to start looking at the leadership that we got, all this political bull job, saying one thing to one person and doing another. 7 people that voted. All 7 of them people voted to move that center. That's why we're here. They didn't have to do that. They all chose to do that. So while we're sitting here saying now, this, that, and the other. It's a done deal. We can say whatever we want to say. The facts are the facts. The business makes sense. They're not going to take $3 million more out of taxpayers' money and go move it somewhere else where they have a place they can move it up the road. But people, please listen, our black community, we need some more leaders. We need to stop talking about all this other mess and look at our leaders and stop blaming it on the white folks and the white man this, the white man that. Look at our leadership. The leadership is the problem.
Well, let me clarify something with you now.
Okay,
You are, wait a minute.
We
Wait a
can't
minute,
have the discussion
no, I need to
between
clear
you
this
two.
up. No, you're
Okay,
speaking
2
about my,
seconds because he's got his
okay, you
hand.
talk about my
Well-
integrity here.
Well, let me speak for a second. So Barbara is the alderwoman for my district, so I prefer that she speak first.
Okay.
She's the elected representative.
Let me
of
clear something
my
up with you,
ward.
Mr. Stewart. Yes, I voted, along with the other board members, for the 3rd Avenue to be an alternate site if it was not approved by FEMA, okay? That's what I voted for. I just want to clear that up with you. I did not vote to say it was a done deal, that I agree with the center being rebuilt on 3rd Avenue, okay? I want those facts correct.
All right,
When you talk about me, you make sure you got your facts correct.
Yes, ma'am, this
now.
isn't personal, this is business.
Okay,
Let me
it
say
is
this.
personal with me when you don't have your personal business right.
I understand. Hey, my rebuttal to that would be this, ma'am. This would be my rebuttal. They have put in for a site. They went back and they asked to move the site. All 7 aldermen. It wasn't 1, it wasn't 2, and if you don't support it, then don't support it. Let it be a vote of 7 or 6-1 or 5-2, whatever it should be. Don't support it. But don't get in here and talk that nonsense, because let me read to you what it says. Alderman Harris made a motion to adopt resolution authorizing the mayor to execute agreements for the purchase and sale of real property located on Broad Street, Gaston Boulevard, as referenced and identified in item 8 and 9, second by Alderman Kinsby. Upon a roll call, it was voted to carry unanimously, 7-0. What are we talking about? This is more about our leadership. This is not about the city of New Bern. Yes, traditionally, let me say it again, because I want people to understand where I'm coming from. Black folks have gotten the short end of the stick. Traditionally, all the time in New Bern. But our leadership doesn't carry through. You can't get mad for other people in other wards and other aldermen that get things done for their people, because they know how to strategically use strategic method and access to get things done. We need some new leadership. That's the bottom line.
Did you want to speak?
Yeah, I just have questions as to, and again, to clarify some of the
Stand up,
facts.
Mike.
Okay, sure. First of all, I just want to make sure that this is my understanding of the situation. If we move to the new location, FEMA will cover the insurance on this building if something happens to it. Is that correct? That we're still covered by FEMA? Whereas if we don't, we have to buy insurance in the private market. Am I correct on that?
That is not correct.
What's the question?
City's got to buy insurance.
The city will have to purchase their insurance. FEMA is not covering the insurance. Doesn't matter if it stays where it is or if it's relocated, that is not on FEMA for the insurance. The city will get their insurance.
Okay, but if we move it, it's going to have to go through commercial insurance, not through FEMA, right?
That's nothing that FEMA has a part of.
Yeah, okay, right. So it would not be covered by FEMA insurance, it would be covered by private insurance.
Yes, sir.
That may or may not be available, is that
Are
also
you
correct?
talking about
Do you mean
flood insurance?
flood
Yes,
insurance?
yeah. It's in your proposal. It's in writing in your proposal,
That's
on
automatic.
page 10.
That's automatic. If they're not in the flood zone and they rebuild.
Right, if you
FEMA
rebuild and
covers
it's not in a
Right.
flood zone, then no.
Right, okay. Now, so that is essentially correct, that, so
Yes, sir.
that we would have to pick up the tab for the insurance, which your estimate is, as of now, $59,000 a year.
I'm
And
not sure what the estimate was.
it's in your
on that.
proposal, I
Okay.
read it. It's on page
That's
10.
the city provided that, yes. That's
Okay.
the city, that
Right.
wasn't FEMA's
No, it
proposal,
said-
that's what the city
No,
provided.
but it's in the presentation, it's in this presentation. And the figure was, and now, as the cost to rebuild goes up, right, over the years, that's going to go up, right? And as the
I
sea
can't
level
answer that.
continues to rise, that's going to go up
Predicting a
too.
question in the future that I can't answer.
Yeah.
I can't answer
Okay.
that for you.
Okay, all right. And also, from what I understand, that if we move to the new location, we can get the money that was paid for that new location back possibly But if we don't, there's no getting that money back. Is that correct?
That PW's been obligated for the $5,629,986.75. That PW was the city's decision to participate in the 428 alternate program. There was possible mitigation options, but the city decided this was the best option. So there's no other money that FEMA is going to fund.
All right. The statement I also read said that basically the cost to rebuild per square foot, and again, that's in the same presentation that was emailed, is over 50% more in the old location.
Okay, but once again, it was the city's decision to relocate. So the cost of building is not nothing that FEMA is, once the city made the decision to relocate,
Well, it's in the
we
document.
processed the project accordingly
Yeah,
for that.
right. But it's in that report. It's in this environmental assessment. I read it. It's
Yeah.
on the FEMA website. That's where I downloaded it.
You said what now? It's part of FEMA's what?
Of this, the environmental assessment on page
Yeah,
10,
but
it
that
says,
information that we
Right.
get to.
Yeah, I'm just saying
include
it's in the report. Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
the city has to provide information.
okay. And that was according to the city's architect, right? So it would be-
I can't understand you.
That was according, it states in the report that it was according to the city's architect. Came up with
It was, all the information FEMA got, they got from the city.
that. Right.
Okay, last question before we go to the back of the room. You had your hand up for a while, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Wright, and I want, it has nothing to do with me, but I want to apologize to all the board members, Barbara. That was uncalled for. He didn't have to lash out the way he did. It was very, it wasn't right. But I have a question. You speak about the historic significance of Stanley White. What is, Mr. Drew, what is Reverend Carol's last name? Beckton. What was her husband's name? James. Didn't they make the walk around the trail? The walk trail? Wouldn't that be considered something of, not a historic significance, but it was in his name, in his honor? He died. Wouldn't it be some kind of honor towards him? And by you getting rid of Stanley White, you're getting rid of his memory. Something in his memory.
Yeah, the building would still be called Stanley White, but for us in the National Historic Preservation Act, it's for properties.
See, I never heard about that.
What you say?
Everybody leaves me out of the loop. I never heard about that. I didn't get it. But then, okay, wherever you place Stanley White, wherever you put Stanley White, like how far from this area is it going to be? And like I hear people asking, you know, what's the availability going to be to our people of color? You know, what are we going to have? Is it going to be the same thing? Are we going to have more to deal with? Are we going to have a swimming pool for summertime? Instead of, you know, what's going children going to these, what do they call them?
I know we do have the floor plan and the conceptual plan for the building, as well as where it would be located, and shows the sidewalks to the building and all of that on the last easel, or the first easel to be. And it's 2 blocks approximately from the Owens.
One more question.
Y'all want to ask us at the back?
Ma'am, I just have a question that actually pertains to
Okay,
your
see,
brief.
now this is what, so how did he have a question
Well, you
after
already
me?
spoke sir twice. You spoke twice.
Something that you
Ma'am, I just have a question. So after reading the executive order 11988, it's my understanding that the city as well as FEMA are required to relocate a building out of the flood zone whenever possible. Is that a correct assumption as I'm interpreting that?
Yes.
Okay. So does the executive order apply to Stanley White Gym, since the city of New Bern has property only a few hundred feet away from the existing facility that is not in the flood zone? does that not make sense to relocate Stanley White Gym out of the flood zone to protect it from future damage if we have another catastrophic storm? In your opinion, as a FEMA representative, does that not make sense?
Well, to us, the new location is not in the floodplain at all.
But that's my point.
Yeah.
The current location is, and I think where people are getting, they're getting a little bit not understanding this. This idea to relocate Stanley White Gym to this new location, which is literally only a football field away from the current location, it's still going to be called Stanley White Gym.
Yeah.
It's going to be a state-of-the-art facility. They have all the stuff back in the back for everybody to look at. So that's an executive order. FEMA has to follow they have to follow that executive order. It was signed into law by an executive order. So I just want everybody to kind of understand that they're going by the guidance that they're providing.
Ma'am, may I say something, please? And I think what I'm about to say, first off, Lord, please be with me because there's a lot of tension in this room right now. All y'all in this room know me, most of you. Can y'all hear me? Okay, I'm vaccinated. Can I take this off? Yes. Okay, look, let me say, there's a lot of tension in this room, okay? Yes, I was late and I apologize, but Lord, when I walked in, the spirit that is in here is not good for my soul. Let me say this right here. Sir, respectfully, I don't know you. I've never even seen you in the community, okay? So I am going to say that respectfully because you cannot come in, well, you can. I don't feel it's right to come in here to a community of people who've lived here, who've experienced that, and tell them what they should and should not feel for something that to them does have historical value, especially in a city where there's not much of ours that is marked as historical, except for this building we're in. We all need to respect each other's opinions. Everybody feels very strongly about what is going on right now. There's a lot of us that have not been involved in this process. We did not show up to the meetings. Right. And what happened was some stuff happened in front of our faces that we didn't pay attention to. Now, I agree with Miss Kathy Wright. Let's not jump on each other, but we all are entitled to our opinion. Okay? These people from FEMA have not been here. We've been hollering. I'm going to be honest. They probably upset with y'all because everybody been asking y'all the whole time to come down here because they do not trust their local government 100%, and that is not directed at Alderman Best. I am speaking just in general. There has been a process with this that has not been transparent with this community, and that's why everybody's upset. When that land was purchased, there was a meeting called of community leaders here to say we have this idea. We have this idea for this property, but did you know how quick that property sold? Did you know how quick that property sold? Very quickly, for a whole lot more money. We were told in that meeting that really, because FEMA hadn't come back with a decision yet, which y'all hadn't, they really weren't supposed to go and purchase this property and expect to reimburse themselves. Now, if I'm lying, somebody call me out. Probably got a target on my back right now, but I'm telling the truth. Truth will set you free. It doesn't have to be defended, and God likes that. He likes that. He doesn't like us biting each other's heads off. Let me say that. Now, I'm not trying to offend anybody. Oh, Lord, give me the strength. Give me the strength. But let me tell you this. While we in here fighting each other, you see that man stood up and he don't even live here. No disrespect. Don't even know if he's ever, have you ever really driven through here? Spent time here.
Yes.
Not you, sir. No, no.
Talking to me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am, I actually have. I sit on the planning and zoning board for the city.
Oh, you sit on the planning and zoning. This process has not been transparent. That committee that was created so that there can be some interactions between the city and the residents. One thing we've got to work on in this city that I think FEMA needs to know is how our residents continue to interact with our elected officials and how our elected officials interact and are transparent with the people who live in the community or are impacted. Now let me tell you this, y'all, we're responsible to show up though. That's right. We're responsible to show up. So at this point, they done bamboozled you. It's done. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. guess what? Now they about to build this building. Now you know what you need to focus on. How about make sure some of our businesses get the contracts? Hello? How about make sure that it stimulates our economy in our community in the midst of COVID, and that it's our people that's getting the work. And how about we go get that work? The Boat Center right there. How about we go get our young people to go over here and go ahead and get their certifications, get our businesses in order, and put in that bid. In fact, we're making some minority business enterprise stuff. Terry know what I'm talking about.
That's a great.
Hello. How about let's work together and stop biting each other's head off and go ahead and figure out what this is going to do. How about, you know what? When they put that building where they put it, we make sure that they do put revitalizing the track for Miss Becton's husband in there. How about we put that they do the field that they promised? How about we start holding our elected officials accountable? And yes, that we get together and make sure we putting the right people there. And let me be clear as I speak, this is Antoinette. This is not an organization she's tied to. This is not nobody else but me, because quite frankly, I've been watching the whole process and at it all, and I'm tired of it.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
So Ms. Antoinette, eloquently close the portion out of the comments, and you guys please meet us at the back, at the 3 tables at the back. Environmentalists first, public assistance is in the middle, and the state will be at the end. You guys, if you have any questions about the conceptual design,
Let me say just
the
one
city
thing.
contractor is here.
Let me say just one thing.
Hey, thank y'all for coming, and we do need your input, so make sure you fill out a comment card before you leave. Thank you very much.